Yeah. Last week we have started with the introduction about architecture, right?
Yes,
So where
yes,
where
yes,
you have
yes.
where you have understand the basic. Okay. So whenever we are a technical person. Okay. So to understand the basic, what is the basic architectural, what is the guideline? Okay, based on the local regulations or international building code, we have got some idea. Okay, how say for example, if you go to some of the area, some of the building, you may see plumbing fixture 10 WC, 5 WC, 4 WC. So there are some
Yes, yes,
basics, right? And when you go
yes,
to
yes, yes, yes.
the kitchen area, okay, you have a different sizes. Okay, depends upon there is a height for the cooking, the kitchen table. There is a height. Okay, and then there is a window.
Okay.
There is a height, minimum height. When you
Uh-huh.
go to the toilet, you can design the toilet with the doors. What is the door dimension? Each and every bedroom, what is the minimum dimension? Okay, for the human comfort. So these are the things we have seen in the last week. Okay, and next one, what we are going to do basically, we are going to uh, do the thermal load calculation, right? That is the first technical
Yes,
part,
yes,
thermal load calculation. But before you go to the thermal load calculation, we will understand some basics, right? So what is the basics?
yes,
There
yes,
are design codes, right? And standards and
yes.
guidance. Okay, then understanding about the air conditioning basics, properties of fluid, heat mass transfer, okay, the lighting, power densities, then understanding about the psychometric design, psychometrics, what is psychometrics? So if you understand all the basics, okay, the design codes, the air conditioning,
Okay.
the basics of air conditioning, including properties of fluid, heat transfer method, then psychometrics, air and vapor, building the psychometric chart, air conditioning process. If you know these basics, it is very easy to apply in your thermal load calculations, right? So in the thermal load calculation, what
Uh,
you learn basically purpose of the cooling load calculation, what is the external load and internal load. Okay, basically when you talk about external load, there are say walls, okay, envelope, basically walls, roof, floor, window, this all comes in
okay.
external load. Okay, and also the ventilation which is outside, the infiltration which is comes from the external, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so these are
yes,
the
yes,
external
yes.
load. And what is the internal load? You have a lighting, then equipments. Okay, so
Equipments,
these are the internal loads. Okay,
people.
and then you have a sensible load. What is a sensible load? There is a dry load. Basically, when you talk about sensible, it is a dry air. Okay, and when you talk about latent load, it
Okay,
is a moisture air. Okay, so remember, when you have a
okay,
air
okay,
which consists of both water vapor and also the dry, right? Okay, then
okay.
you
Yes,
have a U factor, R value, envelope load, occupancy load, lighting load, equipment load, infiltration, ventilation load, bypass factor, thermal load calculations. Okay, so these are the things you will cover. It will cover under half thermal load calculations. Okay, but what I'm going to give you
okay,
some exercise for this next week assignment. Okay, if you go to my
okay,
folder
okay.
structure, in the folder structure you will find the codes and standards. Okay, the SAFAT regulations. This is the SAFAT regulations from local UAE guideline, right?
Okay.
If you go to chapter 5, you will understand the basic design parameters, right? For example, if you go to here, you can see that air conditioning design parameters, right?
Okay, yes,
Okay,
yes,
so when
yes,
you
yes.
see the design parameter, you have a outdoor condition of the building. What is the outdoor? What is the outside temperature, right?
Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so this
Um,
outside temperature, say for example, you can see the dry bulb temperature 46 degrees Celsius, and the wet bulb temperature will be 29 degrees Celsius, and the Dubai city location latitude 25 degree north. Okay, and you have a variation, the daily range 13.8 degrees Celsius, right? And what is the indoor condition of the building? Dry bulb temperature you have to maintain 24 degrees Celsius, and relative humidity will be 50 degrees Celsius, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, then if
Um,
you go further up, okay, you have a U values. Okay, what is the U value? It is the, okay,
yes,
you
yes.
can say that there is a thermal
Uh,
transmittance, the average thermal
yes,
transmittance, that is called U value. Okay, so U value for the roof 0.3, and for the external wall and exposed floor it is 0.57. Okay, and for the glazing, okay, there are different type of glass with shading. Okay, you can see that is a 2.1 for the area less than 40 percentage. Okay, say for example, you have a wall, in the wall you have a window, right? Window glass. Okay, so when you
yes, yes.
calculate, say for example, this is the area of the wall which is 10 square meter, and your window is 2 square
Okay,
meter, so which comes at 20 percentage, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, then it will come in this category. Assume that you have a very big window. Okay, very big window. Assume that like remember balcony, you have a very big window, right? So that window area between 40 to 60%, then you have to apply this value. Okay, when it goes more than
Okay.
60%, you
Okay.
will apply this value. Okay, that we will see in basic. I'm just giving you some introduction for you to read next week. All right. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So this is one of the chapter you will do the assignment. Okay. You will start
Okay.
preparing the chapter 5. Start reading the chapter 5 and tell me that what you have learned next week. Right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Next one, what I'm going to give you assignment. There is a if you go to my folder. Okay. You will find the heat load calculation formulas, equation, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so if you see the heat load equations, so what are all different heat? Let me open one file, right? If you go to this particular documents, okay, in this document here you will understand what is the purpose of cooling load calculation, right?
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
you can read this document. You can read these documents, cooling load calculations. Okay, so you read the purpose of cooling load calculations. So when you go down, you can see that external and internal loads, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what are all the external
Okay.
load? What is the internal load? You can able to understand, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, then when you go further down, can you see that what is external comes under and what is the internal comes under? Can you see? You have some basic idea.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Roof wall
when you go,
windows.
yeah. Okay, so this document it will be sharing to you, so you can read that document. Okay, and when you go further down, this is the typical air conditioning system. For say, for example, you have an air conditioning system, you have a building, okay, supply air, and you have a return air, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So this is the chiller part. This is a chiller with pump, everything. So you can see that there is a sensible heat factor, right?
Oh, okay.
And you have
Okay.
a you have a latent heat, total heat. Okay. So the
Okay.
refrigeration is a total load. Okay, so that is a load, right? Okay. Now you are going to understand what is a sensible load and what is a latent load, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what is the sensible load? It is a dry. Okay. So when you say the dry
Okay.
air, say for example, if you talk about computer equipment, is it a sensible or latent?
Okay. Sensible.
Yeah, because it's a dry air. There is no moisture, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For
Yes.
lighting is sensible or latent?
Sensible.
Yeah. And what about occupant?
Latent. Or
Occupant will
latent.
have a both sensible and latent, right?
Okay.
Okay, so that is the way to understand your sensible load and latent load. I will be sending you some more information for you to get through. Okay, get some idea. Okay, start practicing. Start practicing this week, and you will start understanding the calculations part. Okay, and when you go further down,
Okay.
okay, there is a heat come from where? It actually comes from the sun, right? The heat comes from the sun, basically, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that we
Yes.
are going to understand the just about the sun, about the solar. Okay, and you have a temperature and RH. Different location, you have a different temperatures, right? So there, what you are going to do, I'm going to share one more thing. ASHRAE. Can you see this ASHRAE Meteo? This is the ASHRAE Meteo climatic condition, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, click here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this link I will share it to you. I will be sharing you right away. For example.
Okay.
Okay, so when you open here, say for example, this is a station, Asia, right? And when you go further down, you have a United Arab Emirates, for example. You can go to any country, any country in the world. Okay, then go to Dubai
Okay.
International. Then you will find the weather properties, right?
Okay.
So this is the weather property to understand what is the external condition, right? See, for example, you are going to design the air conditioning, right?
Yes.
First of all, you have to decide whether you are going to cooling, you are going to apply cooling, or you are going to apply heating, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Or you are going to apply cooling and humidification, or cooling and dehumidification, or heating and humidification, or heating and dehumidification. So that you have to decide based on the outside temperature, right?
Yes. Yes.
So here you will understand, okay, what is the annual heating and humidification. So what is the coldest month? What is the coldest month? What is the hottest month? What do you mean by 1?
Okay.
What do you mean by 1? You will
Jan-
understand from here. Go to
Jan-
standards, study, click ASHRAE climatic condition and start reading this particular documents, right?
Okay.
Here, what it is saying, 1 means what?
January,
January. 12 means what?
December.
Okay. So can you say that can you say what do you mean by 8?
August.
Yeah, August month. So you know that in UAE we have a hottest month is August, right?
Okay.
Okay. So what is the external temperature? You can see the external temperature here, 46.3 and 31.5 degrees Celsius, right?
Yes.
This is based on the 2021 ASHRAE fundamentals. Okay. So this is your temperature, 46.3 and 31.5, right?
Okay. Now we
Okay.
are still following this one, right?
Yeah, you follow as per ASHRAE. Okay, but if you go to SAFAT regulation, it is a standard from UAE. Okay, and you can follow
Okay.
46 and 29. That is no problem. Okay, but when you want to
Okay.
design with the safety, you can go as per ASHRAE as well. Okay, no problem. You can go either. Okay. Now, say for example, if somebody is asking, remember when I told you to understand the psychometrics, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is psychometric chart? If you want to explain what is a psychometric chart, okay, here it is given in the definitions. If you go further down, you can see that psychometric is a study of thermodynamic properties of moisture. In other words, if the air is to be conditioned, how can the amount of heat that must be added or removed, right?
Oh, yes.
So whether you want to do cooling or heating, you are going to understand from the external temperature, and based on that you are going to, based on the psychometric chart, you are going to find out, okay, what has to be done, right?
Yes.
Okay, now as I told you just now, if you go to ASHRAE properties, I have a 46.3 degrees Celsius, 31.5 degrees Celsius. I want to know what is the relative humidity, right? Okay, I want to know what is the relative humidity. Okay, I want to know what is the dew point temperature. So everything you can calculate by means of psychometric chart, right? Can you see the psychometric chart here? You can see the dry bulb temperature, specific humidity, relative humidity, dew point temperature, wet bulb temperature, enthalpy line, specific volume. So what is this one? This particular point, right? So if I say based on this particular point, you can decide all the parameters, right?
Yes.
Okay. So similarly, if you go to ASHRAE, ASHRAE properties, okay, if you go to ASHRAE properties, you can able to see 46.3 and 31.5. So based on that two condition, you can able to calculate all other conditions, right?
Yes.
Okay. You can able to calculate. Okay. Now,
actually, I don't know how to read this.
Yes. That is what you are going to practice now. Okay. You will be studying all this for another 2-3 weeks. Start reading all the documents. Okay. If you go to my I will be sharing you one documents. Okay. Say for example, this is the psychometrics made simple. Okay. Psychometrics made simple, right? So there is a video. I will be sharing to you. Open that video and start going through the psychometric chart. Okay, and also start reading this particular document. After you reading slow by slow, you will able to understand what is a psychometric chart. Okay, and how this psychometric chart will help you to do the heat load calculations, right? Okay, so how it will help, and if you know this particular equation, you can able to do the thermal load calculations, right? Okay, understanding U factor. What is the U factor? Okay, whenever there is a wall, the heat will be transferred through the wall. Okay, if the material is very good, then you have a low U value. If the material is poor, you have a high U value, right? Okay, so you start reading this document, then you will start understanding. Okay, and then you have a typical wall U factor calculations. Then you have a U factor calculations for the roof. Okay, depends upon the different material, thermal properties of the material. Okay, what is the equation here? Can you see that HVAC equation, sensible heat factor, Q equal to MCP delta T, right? Okay, so this equation came from where? Came from ASHRAE standard.
Okay.
Okay, so if I open ASHRAE standard, the HVAC fundamental, okay, this is the HVAC fundamental 2021. Okay, you can see that ASHRAE
Okay.
fundamental residential cooling and heating load calculations, chapter 17, right?
Okay.
So if you go further down, can you see there? You can also read. Okay, no need to read everything, and remember just read the headings. Okay, like what is that heading? Smaller internal heat gain. Okay, various use of spaces, fever zones. Try to understand. Try to read the heading. Okay, and then if you go further down, okay, can you see that this is what we have seen, right? Latitude, date, elevation, the building elevations. Okay, from the UAE guideline, right? And can you see that equation here?
Yes.
The total load is nothing but sensible load plus latent load, right?
Yes.
So what you are going to do the thermal load calculation, when you do the thermal load calculations, you are going to calculate sensible load plus latent load. That will give you the total load, right?
Okay.
Okay, how to calculate total load? It's given here. See here, basic relations. You have a Q sensible, CS, Q delta T. Q latent,
Okay.
CL, Q delta W. What is delta W? Is the specific humidity. Okay, and Qt equal to CTQ delta H total, right? Okay, so you will after 2-3 weeks, you will get some idea. Okay, don't worry that one. Start reading this document. Design conditions. What is the indoor conditions? What is the outdoor condition? Right? And go further down. Go further down. Okay. Okay. Can you see that air change per hour? How to calculate the infiltration air flow rate based on the air change per hour? Okay. What is the equation here?
Okay.
Okay, these are all the equations. Okay, so from this equation only there is a summary sheet here. There is a summary sheet for the heat gain through the wall UA delta T. Okay, heat gain through the roof UA delta T. Okay, heat gain through the ventilation air sensible plus latent, right?
Okay.
And heat gain through the people sensible plus latent. Okay, just what we said, right? Outside air having a sensible load and latent load. Kitchen appliances only sensible load. Heat gain through the motor only sensible load. Electrical equipment only sensible load, right? Lights sensible load, right?
Yes.
Okay, can you see the equation? Exterior, you see the equation area into CF. Okay, these are all the equations. Okay, this equation came from ASHRAE. Okay, so you can see the equations, right? You can see the lot of equations here. So that equation only it is given here. That is what given here. This guideline. Okay. You can see that Q equal to MCB delta T. When you go further down, this is the outside design condition based on the ASHRAE, right? Remember, can you see this one? This is what we have seen in the ASHRAE guideline, right? Okay. Then when you go further down, this is the Bangalore. Okay. There is the indoor design conditions. Okay. Then you have going to do the load calculations. This is a roof load. How you calculate roof load? UA delta T, CLTD, right?
Okay.
So this equation came from where? From fundamental UA delta T. Can you see here? This is from ASHRAE fundamental. Okay. So that is given in this particular guideline UA delta T for the roof load. Okay. And when you talk about wall load, you have a UA EACL3D, right? Cooling load temperature difference. Okay. Window load. Okay. UACLTD, right? And window load, this one. And you have a solar heat gain through the glasses. Okay. And cooling load through the partition. What is the equation? How to calculate? Okay. Cooling load occupancy. How to calculate? And for the heat gain from the people, how to calculate? There is a people sensible load and latent load. So how to calculate the lighting load? and how to calculate the appliance sensible load, how to calculate the appliance latent load, motor power, infiltration, infiltration airflow rate, infiltration load, right? There is a ventilation load,
Yes,
there is a ventilation load here, and how to calculate the ventilation, right? So this is the basic
Yes.
understanding for you to do the assignment. Okay, for next week, just go through the SAFOT regulations and go through the heat load calculations equation and go through the this particular guideline and go through the psychometric chart. Okay, try to understand what is the psychometric chart here. This is the
Okay.
building the psychometric chart. This is the dry bulb temperature. How to measure the dry bulb temperature? This is a vertical line. There is a dry bulb temperature. Okay, and then there is a humidity scale. Okay, so this is the humidity, specific humidity is here. Okay, and then you have a dew point temperature, which is dew point temperature is nothing but the saturated line. So you can see that saturation line. This is the dew point temperature. Okay, so this also you will get some idea, and relative humidity lines. So this is a relative humidity line, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll be sending you
That
a lot of
dew point-
document.
Dew
Yeah,
point will happen condensation, right?
which one?
At
The dew point.
Dew point temperature.
Yeah. When it is a dew point, that means the water is saturated, right? Say for example, if you go to further here, what is that? This is the atmospheric air is a mixture of dry air and water vapor, right?
Yes.
So when you say dry air, that means 0% humidity, right?
Okay. Oh, yes.
So when you say mixture of air, say for example, you have a 50% air, 50% water. That means RH is 50%, right?
Yes.
So that means you can see that there is air, pure air. And when you say 50% RH, that means mixture of air plus water. H2O is what? H2O is means what? H2O.
H2O water.
Water, right? And when you say 100% H2O, that means what?
Oh, yes.
Full of water, right? So here this is called dew point,
Yes.
saturated. This is called dew point saturated,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Okay. So I will be sending you these documents. Start reading the document. Then I will ask you next week to refresh something. Then
Okay.
so I will come to know that how much you have learned. Then based on that we will continue further, right? Okay. And I will be sending you some more documents. Okay. If you go to psychometric calculations, there are some videos. Okay. Try to see that videos. Okay. Wherever you have a doubt, try to ask me. Then I will try to help you with how to proceed. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. See that basics of psychometry. Okay. You know the basics of psychometry. Okay. So what is the dry bulb temperature? What is wet bulb temperature?
Okay.
What is the dew point temperature? What is relative humidity? What is the specific humidity? What is enthalpy? So you will start reading all these documents, right? Okay. And I will be sending you some more documents like psychometric definitions. Okay. You can see that this is the dew point temperature. So what is dew point temperature? It is given here. The dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature will be the same temperature where this particular line is 100% saturation. That is called dew point temperature, right? Okay. So when you say the humidity ratio, this is the humidity ratio. You can see that particular line here. This is the specific humidity ratio. Humidity ratio is nothing but what is the amount of water available in that particular air. So that is called humidity ratio. How much of air? Okay. 1 kg of dry air, you have a 0.073 water vapor. Okay. That much kg of moisture air. Okay. And when you go further up, you can see this is the relative humidity line, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you go further up, you can see the dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, relative humidity, and then you have absolute humidity, specific humidity. Okay. And water activity, then dew point temperature, specific volume, sensible heat, latent heat, enthalpy, right?
Yes.
Okay. And also there is a train guideline. Okay. I will be sending you the train as well. Okay. When you go through further train, you can see that there is a properties of air. What is the properties of air? Dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, dew point temperature, relative humidity, humidity ratio. Okay, you have a definitions. Each and every definition is given here. What is dry bulb temperature? What is the wet bulb temperature? Okay, what
Okay.
is the what is the dew point temperature? What is the relative humidity? Okay,
Okay. Okay.
okay, what is the humidity ratio? Okay, as an example, there is an example calculation is given here. So dry bulb temperature 75 and 78 degree Fahrenheit wet bulb temperature. So when you plot, you can able to calculate other parameters, right? What is the relative humidity?
Okay.
What is the dew point temperature? What is the specific humidity? You can able to get that by using the dry bulb temperature, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and when you go further
So
down,
when we do heat load calculation, we need to consider all these things, right?
yeah. See,
Uh,
when you do the heat load calculation, you will just enter the value, right?
yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but understand the basics. Okay, how that calculation,
Yes.
how
Yes.
how
Yes.
that
Yes.
value,
I know.
how that what is the equation, how it works, right?
Okay.
Software. Okay, see the sensible heat ratio.
Okay.
Okay, sensible heat ratio.
Okay.
Effect of removal latent heat, removing sensible and latent heat. Effect of
Okay.
removing sensible heat, right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, what is the heat gain? What is the sensible heat ratio? Okay, where we will use that sensible heat ratio. Okay, determining supply air flow. How to calculate
Okay.
supply air flow rate? By using the equation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then there is a psychometric chart. What is enthalpy? Okay,
Okay.
okay. So these are the things you will start practicing right this week.
Yes. Sir.
Okay, there
Okay.
is a properties of air, right? Determine sensible heat ratio. Determining mixed air condition. Okay, there are some
Okay.
questions. There are some questions for you to understand how to work the psychometric chart, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so if you know all these basics, okay, like if you go to the syllabus, as I
Okay.
said, to do the thermal load calculation, you are going to understand psychometric chart. You are going to understand the fluid properties like what is the conduction, convection, radiation,
Okay. Okay.
properties of
Okay.
the fluid. Okay, basics. Okay, then what about building envelope, descent temperature? What is the internal descent temperature? What is the lighting power densities? Right? Okay,
Yes. Yes.
so you will start practicing your HAP calculation from your side. So wherever you stuck, then I will try to help you. Okay, so that I will ask you some questions.
Okay.
That book you have referred, so you can go and refer whatever the documents to understand the basics,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Clear, Hari.
Yes. Yes. Clear.
So what I will do now,
Uh,
I will be sending you the introduction about architecture. I think last time I have sent you architecture space planning, right?
yes. Yes. Yes.
I will be sending you now codes and standards, international introduction about air conditioning and ventilation, then psychometric calculations, then half thermal load calculations. I'll be sending you this all 4 documents. Okay. If you go
Okay.
further
Okay.
inside,
Okay.
you have some videos, some design guidelines, some schedules, some software, career handbook. Okay, codes and standards.
Okay.
So you can able to just when I sent you, download the document. Okay, and keep it in your proper
Okay.
folder. Okay, whatever I sent you last time, keep it in the proper folder and start
Okay.
open
Okay.
the folder one by one and start checking what is that inside. Start open one by one document. Start going through what is
Okay.
inside.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Okay.
Clear, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Then this one I'm
Okay.
just giving you the direction what you have to study in this week. Okay. Then next week we will go a little bit deep inside. Right?
Okay. Sir. Okay.
Okay. So we'll see next week. Right?
Okay, sir. I will refer this document and
Yeah. You have
if
any
there is
doubts?
any
You have
doubts.
any doubt or questions?
Okay.
Do you have any doubts or questions to ask?
No, nothing. Actually I need to study this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Start
to
study.
read this psychometric
Start
leveling.
study. Then yeah. Then we will discuss slow by slow. Okay. After 2-3
Okay.
weeks, you can install your HAP software in your laptop. Then try to do the calculations.
Okay.
Whenever you try to do the calculation,
Okay.
don't enter the value just like. Okay. Whenever you are entering the value, you
Okay.
should know the basic. When you are entering the lighting load, you should know that why you are entering 10 kilowatt, 10 watts per meter square. What is the basis? When you are entering
Okay.
equipment load 10 watts per meter square or 15 watts per meter square, you should know what is the basis, right?
Okay. Yes,
So
sir.
that type of way you have to work. Okay, not just entering the value and you will get the result. Okay, then you will prepare schedule. Not like that. Okay.
Okay.
So see you next week. I will send you all the documents. Okay.